recall first, because with a recall, he's learning that the beep means to be in the recall position, which is right in front of me. Anytime he kind of gets distracted and gets his mind off on something else, which is like every second and a half or something like that, he'll just kind of get out of the position and walk away, and then I get to correct and recall again. So what happens essentially is that he's learning to stay. Well, we're teaching the recall, that's why this is great, but he's also learning that he can't just walk away at a whim when I'm working with him. So it's a great way to start the relationship, and we're going to build off from that. But that recall is actually going to help with his mind, because we're going to have a recall and a stay. And with that, we can then present triggers, which are things that are going to get him to elevate and to become anxious. And we're going to teach him, everything's off limits until it's offered to you by your humans, which is going to take some anxiety down, some stress down. Because guys like this, they think everything's, they have access to it at all times. Like, oh, I'm going to go check out the door. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go check out this toy. I'm going to go concern myself with this dog or this squirrel or this or that. We're going to teach him that unless I've offered him to go and interact with the thing, it's not for him. And that's the hierarchy, right? I get access to it first, and that'll put him at ease. Once he knows his position and he knows it's going to be taken care of, and he knows when he's going to be able to do his dog stuff, like, roam about and just use his nose and be curious. I hope he has that in him when we're outside. And he'll know when it's time to just relax and wait for the humans, and not get up and concern himself with everything, which is things coming and going through the doors, the outside world, things out the window, sounds. He's going to learn it's not for him. Okay, that's for us to decide how to deal with it, and what we do is tell him what to do. Okay, so he's lost his focus, so I'm going to sneak away. Recall. There's pressure on, but it's turning off when he's here in this position. And that's one of the first things I want to teach him, is that you feel that pressure after you hear that beep, and you feel that pressure, the stimulation on the collar. When you get to me, it turns off. So that teaches him the recall, right? Very clear, because it's on and then it's off right when he's here. And I'll be consistent to make sure that I'm only turning off that sensation when he's in a nice committed recall, meaning he was intending to come to me, he's not lollygagging or anything. If they start lollygagging or giving us like half effort, I'll just extend it and I'll keep backing up and moving away from them and increasing the pressure till they say, okay, I want to turn that pressure off. They'll commit to the recall, everything's okay. The dog's learning, we're adjusting the dog's attitude along the way, right? What I mean by attitude is like a dog just either straight up not listening to you or just giving you bare minimum effort. That's all in the category of attitude to me. So what I do is, while I'm teaching, if I get minimum effort from the dog, then it's usually corrected and we try again until I get effort every time. Because what I'm looking for is effort from the dog. The performance, we'll shape that as we go, right? Like, we'll slowly tighten things up. But if the dog's trying, there's no punishment. If the dog's not trying, that's where the punishment's introduced, okay? That, and a dog goes and does, breaks rules, basic rules, that's how we teach them what the rules are. It's by allowing them to discover, you can't just walk out a door. That equals a correction now. And we're going to get their belief system to be one that is, harmonious in the human world. They understand not to just step off a sidewalk and go into traffic, or run out an open door, or bark and concern themselves with people coming and going, or pull on the walk, or be a nuisance in the car, all this stuff. They'll learn how to behave, okay? So this is the beginning. Look, we have an anxious dog whose options got taken away. So stress is going down. I didn't take him, I didn't say, hey, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, verbally, right? Right now, I just met this dog, the first thing I did is I corrected him for barking. I let him know that when I correct, I can do it from a distance and it's on the collar. So I let him know my way of correcting. And then I let him have a reward for when he was calm, which is because he likes affection. We did affection. Now, what I'm doing is I'm introducing this recall. The options are taken away. So that's why well, you see like, wow, you worked with them for a couple minutes and they get less stressed, right? It's because they're seeing that the options are taken away. Not because I said so, but because every time you try to do one of these options, there's a correction and then a recall. But when you're right here in calm, there's no correction, right? We're just chilling. So the options have been taken away, now the dog's kind of chill. And we're gonna get him to be that way kind of always. But also what we're gonna have is when he does trigger and he gets into an elevated, anxious state, we're gonna be able to correct and get a calm, submissive state of mind, because that's what we're going to associate this pressure with as well, okay? So, he's on his way. We can't, for a dog who's anxious, the Dog Whisperers, season 1 always used to say this. You see it in the show. He doesn't know where he is in the pack. Or more than likely, he tries to lead, which means, let me figure out who that is, right? Or on the walk, let me decide where we go. All that. Look, he's already concerned, right? But once you show them that you're the leader, after living with them for a few days, all of a sudden the dog's not concerning themselves. If they're high up on the hierarchy, if they feel like they're the leader, then the leader has to decide how to deal with situations. So if somebody knocks the door, I got to figure it out, right? This is stress, especially on a dog who's not meant to lead. He's not meant to lead, right? He doesn't have enough, just hardwired confidence. Some dogs just come out and they're just unshakable, right? It's not him. So he's concerned about very small things. I started dancing, he got concerned. He's under, experience. But look, he licks his paws, he does all this stuff. Because in his mind, if you don't tell a dog, no, you're not on the top, they're gonna try to go to the top. And nobody's disagreeing with that because we're treating them like a pet, right? Not like, we're not being a dog in a dog pack treating them like that. Otherwise, this would be sorted out. So, we see a dog trying to lead who's too insecure to lead, which is causing stress. But he wants to lead. So, he's not just going to stop leading. They have the desire to. That's how a hierarchy is formed when they're with each other. But he's not with his own kind right now. He's with humans. And what's happening is he thinks all this is, he has to figure out who that is. I have to figure out who that is, he thinks. Now, and he's nervous of it too. He's like, I'm nervous, but I have to go out there. This is how this guy's living his life. All right, so if there's any confidence, it's false, right? Because look at him. I knock on the door and he's like, so good boy. But this is becoming another thing that's happening. It's too many things to talk about. This is also becoming a safe spot, which is me. So whenever I hit that beep, wherever we are, whether we're in this little training room or we're outside in the woods, he's gonna know to find me. I'm where he goes after a recall in order to avoid correction. That's how we keep him in line. That's how we're kept in line. Again, we talked about this in many videos, but rules and then consequences for breaking those rules is how we keep rules, how we keep everybody on track and abiding by the rules, okay? So once he learns that system, I call it our system, the do's and don'ts and the consequences for those things, a dog adjusts and they're on the good path, They test the boundaries here and there. They find out that it's still hot when they test the boundaries, and you're good. When a dog slips is when they go and test those little boundaries and they realize there's no consequences, and then they start pushing further, and then they realize these consequences aren't always here, and they find the loopholes in your leadership, and then you got to push your dog. If you got to push your dog, this is your leadership like a blanket. There's holes in it, right? It looks like Swiss cheese. You got to go find where you're fill in those holes, right? In your relationship and in your lifestyle. And that's what we do with these dogs as I'm building my relationship with them. That's what I have to do with my own personal dog. If I see something that it's struggling with, I'm going to see what's happening there, and I'm going to look into it. And tighten that part up makes everything else better. So if dog's pushy on a walk, you got to tighten that up. If you tighten that up, he's going to be better all over the place, right? And it's all about, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on if you enjoy dog mentality, it's about the hierarchy, and the only way I can show him who I am is to prove to him through situations, just like it would happen in a pack. Packs form their hierarchy through conflict, right? Over food, over resources. So I do setups. That's what we talk about, setups. I can set up situations, knocks on the door and stuff. Disagree with this dog for trying to lead that situation. Show him that when you try to lead, I punish you because you're trying to lead. Because that's what happened. See, this isn't my rule. This is what dogs do to each other, okay? I'm just playing the role of the top dog. And if I don't like that you're dealing with, that you're going up on the people that are coming through the door, then I'm going to deal with it how a top dog would deal with it. Except we're using modern technology, which is going to be corrections on the e-collar. I'm not going to get down and bite him, you know, and try to fight him on all fours. I'm going to say no when you try to rush the door, correct you and send you away, and repeat that door time and time after again, right back to back, until you're making the right choices, and then put you away, take you out tomorrow and see if you remembered it. These are called setups. It's training sessions, right? We are setting up a situation the dog thinks it's real life. And through that, and through doing the walk and how he behaves out in the real world, we're going to show him what not to do and what to do. And it's all based off from what I like, right? In this moment in time, the options are taken away, and he's not leading. He's listening. He's like, okay, this guy's obviously has something to do with me. Because if I go away, he can affect me. He can say, come over here, and like, the beautiful thing is this pressure turns on, and I can control how intense it is. So what I do, and it is hard to do, even I fumble, but the idea is that as he walks away from me, I'm going to, or I walk away from him because I want to set one up and he's not paying attention. I'm going to beep, and then I'm going to turn it on a level that probably mild in his mind. But as he gets further away from me, as he says go further away from me, I'm going to make it hotter. But as he gets closer to me, I can make it cooler. That's one little trick if the dog's having trouble learning, because you can see I try not to use the leash, and that's just my personal preference. If I don't have to pick it up, I'm not going to. So, but he learned fine that right here it turns off, and I even threw him a few times because he tried to sit here, right? And I don't want him to have options. And with this guy, it's like there's not even options in your position in your recall. You can't come over here and you have this position, this position, this position, and this position. It's this one, okay? And later on, he'll learn if I'm walking, it's heel, right? And so this is going to make his. It sounds like I'm being like maybe strict with him or something. But what's going to happen is this guy's going to feel good because he's going to understand the world around him, and he's going to have his way with you as a unit of getting through situations that are. That might be nerve-wracking, and he doesn't have to decide what to do. And in fact, if he just chills and does nothing, we're like, wow, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, really? I just did nothing. I'm like, yeah, that's what we like. Oh, that's what you like. So that's what he's going to learn. So, right? Okay. So knock, knock, knock. That's a reactive dog. Like, that's reactivity, but he just knows nobody's there because he's catching on to this. But if somebody was actually there and there was a silhouette, this guy's going to growl, bark, try to deal with it. That's the next situation that I'm going to try to set up, I think, with him, to show him that if you try to deal with it, I'll disagree with it. So he can start to learn, oh, this guy wants to deal with the stuff that the leader deals with. And he don't like it when I try to. And if I fight him on that, we're going to have a problem, right? So, but if I don't fight him on that, he's really happy with me, right? So I think I'll just not fight him on that. And we just repeat it till the dog sees. That's the dynamic between you, me, and the world. Me being the leader right now, which is going to be the owner. He needs a leader. He needs somebody who's going to show him what not to do, that's important, and what to do in certain situations, okay? All right, cool thing about this training though, he's free to move. I'm not holding him here physically. He can go. That's why he's calm, because he tried it and it didn't work out, and it was on his dime. He's like, I'm gonna go try this. Nope, didn't work out. So he lets the stress go. Rather than, I wanna go try that, but I can't because I'm on a leash, right? I can't go do this and this and this because I'm on a leash. So now I'm frustrated and I'm amped up, and I'm in this space that he gets into, which isn't good. This is why when he's still, he just got to lick his paws because he can't settle himself down. Okay? So let's move on. I'm going to do some setups with him, start to build and show him. Now that I got a little foundation with the recall, I can use that a bit, and he knows that's how I correct. So he'll learn more about that as I put him in situations right now. Not so worried about starting to teach the heel, starting to teach anything I don't need, like place or anything right now. I need relationship and his understanding of how this works with me and what my expectations are. And I'm going to find his old associations to things. And I'm going to set new expectations on top of the way he used to react. And that's where I'm going to see him, dogs that will go through it. Julie says, well, they're going through it. Where you put them in a situation they used to do behavior A, but you're saying no to behavior A, and you're saying do behavior B instead, right? And you see a dog kind of glitch for a session. part of a session, and then they start to adjust, because that's the beauty of them, is they will adjust to their environment, and that's the beauty of a board and train, is they get to come here and we get to give them the environment they need in order to change their belief system. Because if we can change the way they believe, then we change the way they behave, and that's real rehab, that's real change, that's long-lasting change. Okay, so let's get to understand that when the dog's trying to lead, you know, and they're not doing well. It's because they don't think you're leading. You're not disagreeing with them trying to lead. That's really what it comes down to. So right here, we did a setup. Julie knocks on the door. She comes in. I go walk up to Julie. I had him on the other room on purpose because I've done this a million times. He's now coming to check out Julie, which is the new thing in the room. I now turn around as a leader, disagreeing with that because I never told him to go up on the new thing, which is one of our rules in the pack, is if we come across something new, that let me check it out first, you know, and that's very common amongst dogs. So he started to come over here. I turned my body around, I shushed him, I gave him a little tap on the collar, kind of shooed him away. He did really good with that, actually. He went back over there. I started talking to Julie, pretend talking to Julie. I look over at him, I say, good boy. And then I come over here, I walk over here, give him a pat, and then I walk away again, suggesting that he's not coming to me to deal with this situation. I'm dealing with this situation, especially because it's a human. And he's gonna learn, even dogs I get to deal with too first. And I get to choose whether or not we're concerned about them, because we'll get there. I don't wanna you'll see it in the upcoming videos, how to do that, okay? So, this is a setup here. It's the dog, it's me, and it's the trigger, which is the new person in the room, which could be a friend or a relative or anybody. You can even use your husband or your, whoever. She knocked on the door, she comes in, he tries to deal with it. I say no, I send him away. Now, it's him over there, me dealing with the interaction, me from a distance saying good boy every now and then because we're new. Give him a pat on the head. And then reset and do it again. And if this becomes easy, he's like, okay, so she comes in the room, I just hang back and let him deal with it. That's cool, but we're not done. We got to build on top of that. When a dog comes in the room, I'll bring Riggins down, right? When 3 dogs come in the room, right? He's going to start to generalize, oh, it's just when anything enters the house. It's not just a certain person. Okay, that takes us going through different situations. This is good, but we're going to see, now look, we're going to see this guy who's a nervous guy. We're going to see the stuff. Panting, vibrating. When the panting slows down, we'll see more vibrating. Not seeing a whole lot of drool, which is good. If it's real bad, there's drool, you know. If the dog's really like deathly afraid of their environment, and even if they have no reason to be, I know, like we meet dogs like that. He got off on a pretty good start with me because I corrected him, and I did it in a way where it's like, you know, sometimes it doesn't go exactly how I planned, but sometimes it goes really smooth. And for him, it went really smooth. And I was able to correct him on the collar and him understand it was me right away because he was offering a behavior, barking. And it could be obvious to him that I'm correcting for the barking. And then that went well. And then I rewarded him and he took to me. So we got him understanding I do consequences and how, which is on the ecollar, and him understanding that I don't want to hurt you or kill you. I just don't like when you bark. That's where we're at. And then we did a little recall. And so he's like, okay, this guy's cool. Just like, if he says no, no. And that's kind of in his mind right now. We've only been together, 15 minutes or so, right? 20 minutes. And I'll turn over and say, good boy. And he's literally doing nothing. He's saying, I'm getting praised for sitting here and doing nothing. Okay? And just waiting. Because that's what they're all struggling with. That's what he's struggling with for sure. Is like he was fine until you left the room, then he whined. What you missed on camera is that she left the room, he whined, and I said, this is a good time to teach the other skill, which is correction on the e-collar means to relax and disengage and just go into submissive state. He doesn't know that. They don't know that when they first come here. So I say no to the whining. He knows I'm saying no to the whining, so now we have a reason. It's not random. He's like, okay, it's because I'm whining. That's right. He doesn't like sounds. He corrected me for barking earlier. I seen him understand it. See how he thinks I can correct him. He's like, he can correct me. This is all in his mind, so now I get to set rules. Now I get to tell him my expectation. He's buying in to it. He's like, okay, this is real.
That's incredible.
So what we're gonna do now, because we really need, listen, he's anxious, so If you got an anxious dog in, and you're like, okay, we'll get to working with them, but we're gonna put them in the kennel, it's like too much risk factor that he's gonna try to escape, he's gonna chew on the bars, he's gonna lick his paws, he's gonna be nervous, all because, why is he doing all that? Because he wants to be out of the kennel. If I work him today, and really, this is real mental stuff, I'm gonna bring out the dogs, I'm gonna introduce him to that, I'm gonna do the kennel drills. By the time we're done, he's gonna say, I can't wait to be in a kennel. And that'll start his association off right, you know, and we have more of a chance of him wanting to be in the kennel because out here we're doing tests. We're working a little bit, he's put in situations he doesn't know. The first week, that's how he's gonna feel. Then it's gonna start to get fun out here, you know. First couple, I don't know how long we got this guy for. 4, 3, he's 3. We should have him in a good spot by 3. He is anxious enough to fit into a 4-week program though, 100%. He does check the boxes, especially licking himself like that. But, but again, this program is just to establish the new way of living with the dog, and then it's continued, and the real big changes really happen in the course of after being home. You start to see really long-lasting changes. So, anyway, then he'll want to be out of his kennel again because this session's old now. He'll understand them. He'll know how to keep out of trouble. He's having a good time, and then we'll see a side of him maybe whining in there, trying to be out of the kennel. We'll correct that, and it'll go away pretty easily because of our history together. We are lucky we don't have a pre-existing history that contradicts what we're doing today. That's because I don't know this stuff. If I was trying to do this as the owner, I have a history, like a catalog of, you know, just a million experiences that say the opposite of what I'm now trying to teach you. So that's another benefit of the board and train, is you get somebody with no pre-existing history, and we can say this is, and a house where we have no history, dogs we have no history, everything is completely different. We can say, hey, this is like a new planet. This is how this planet works. The dog then adjusts, and they're living within our program, right? And they're doing really well, and they've adjusted. They think this is real life. And then we bring the owner back, and what can happen, the dog sees the owner, and they see all the old associations and the old patternings and the old behaviors, and they say, well, that's the old world. That's where I used to live. And they go back to the owner, and they're going to try all that shit, treating them how they treated them before. Not how they're treating us as humans. He treats this human differently. He sees me, and I would like him to look at the human that is bringing the owner, and treat them like me. But in order for that to happen, he has to believe that they are going to be leading like me, my style of leading, right? Which is what they learn here. If they can do that, the dog, you know, they try to mistreat the owner, the owner corrects. They try to not listen, the owner corrects. They break one of the known rules, the owner corrects. There's an adjustment period going home to get the dog to believe that this place is also needs to be happening at home, which is, you know, the first week or two is really, really important. That we're setting the tone, you're following our instruction in, so the dog's belief systems from here transfer over to home. Then a dog adjusts at home, and now we got a dog who's really making long-term change. If things get mucked up, and you know, in that adjustment period, it's going to be hard to get on track. Then you're going to need to use your the follow-up. You know, then you'd have to use a follow-up, and we try to get you back on track. But it's just easiest to go home and make sure you take the first couple of weeks to really send home the message. First month even. And then once the dog adjusts, you can relax a little bit, okay? All right, so that's how it works. That's why it works so nicely. It's because new people, new environment, and then reintroduced to the old environment with new tools, knowledge, and as they're forming the new relationship or creating the new perspective on the owner and the house, okay? I like it, guys. There you go. Right here. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, there's tension, but he allowed him to sniff him there. All right. Good dogs. Good dogs. Yeah. More concerned with rigors because he can tell automatically that he's technically above these two. Meaning if they were all starving and there was a piece of food on the ground, he would get it if they had a fight over it. So now he's naturally drawn to have a conversation with her. there's definitely something else going on here where he thinks that he might be above her. And he's not showing, he's kind of avoiding sparkles, but we'll see.
Thinks you should as well.
And then, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he's just going to grab her by the neck or what. It's like right when he looks like he's on the verge to do something, he's talking. Okay? He looked at me just now and kind of did one of these, like, I'm not going to do what's on my mind. So he's definitely altering his behavior a little bit because I'm here, which is good to know. But I haven't done any real correcting yet, besides my finger snap over there. For the tension between both of them. Okay, so now we're gonna get to some work here. He didn't do anything too big. I had reasons enough for the tension where I could have came in, but I already did a little out with him with Julie, and he looked like he was starting to get that, so I decided not to tackle that. If we wait a minute, we might see something. Yeah, see, when she plays submissive, it makes him want to dominate. You can see as soon as, if he's around, the dog feels like they're going to be submissive towards him, he gets more. Getting more comfortable. Still a little unsure. See, like, he's like, I don't know you that well, but then he lets it happen. Comes in, a little forceful, a little dominant. He's being respectful, but he knows what he wants. He wants to sniff her crotch. And she's keeping him from doing that. And so now they're playing a little bit more. Yeah. She's kind of pestering a little bit. See, he wants back there. She's giving him, there it is. There you go. Not terrible. Not terrible. Awkward, tense. But his intentions doesn't look to be fighting. It just seems to be... I'm a little more comfortable with Riggins here. This is interesting. I think if he allows Riggins to be on top, which he's looking a little bit more respectful towards him, there won't be any problem between him and Riggins. If he tries to correct Riggins for trying to stand up for himself and be dominant, then there'll be problems. Or if he doesn't allow Riggins to sniff his crotch, things like this. Crotch is such an ugly word. You know, sniff him in the rear, in the underbelly. Okay, not bad. Now, he had his fill, Riggins is over it, unless he can hump this guy, which he knows he should. When I'm in the room, he's like a can opener. And I got the sense,
That's all he wants to do.
I'll hump him when you're not around, Dad. Okay, what you don't know won't hurt you. Okay, I like this, this is good. So he knows what not to do, so you see him like, okay, don't go out the door, but he doesn't know what to do. And that's the next thing to do. I'll let their energy get up a little bit, and then I'll knock on the doors if somebody's here, and then I'll come in and say, everybody quiet, and then see how he gets it up. Raising the energy risks, like elevating energy, he's playing risks the likelihood of something going wrong, you know, meaning him getting into a scuffle or something. See, I raised it just for a second, and he started to walk over the rig just a little bit more sassy. And then sniffing that ass and looking at me, no coincidence. He wants to have a conversation with me. And Riggins being respectful to me by not pushing on him is coming across as a weakness. Or he doesn't care. And that makes him even more want to check it out. So, I see all that, I'm just letting you know what I'm looking at.
Who is it?
Hello! Hey guys! Watch. It's all an act for him. It's all just for him to learn. Right. Look at you. Good boy. Good boy. Now I want to show him that I can tell the other dogs to leave him alone. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yes, he's a good boy. Good boy. Yes, he did. Nice work. That's good.
He's like, I'm done here.
Good boy, Jackson. That's a good boy,
Would you get your boy?
Good boy, Jackson. Good boy. Alright, Jackson. Come. Come here, Jackson. Come here, buddy. Hi. Hi. Jackson, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here, it's alright. Hi, how are you? Come here. Jackson, come here, buddy. Come here, Jackson. There you go. Hi, honey. How are you? Just did the protocol with the kennel. Another great experience, day one, that I wanted to give to our boy, Jackson. I told him to go in the place. He didn't want to go in at first. I put pressure on. He eventually went in. And then he came right back out, and the pressure turned down. He went in. It turned off, okay? Before he could step out, I said, stay. And then he stayed right there. Because I threw my hand there. I said, stay. And I said, good boy. I walked out, Julie too. Nobody in the room. I get behind that door, and I peek through, and I watch him. And as soon as I leave, he's saying, I know he told me not to leave, but the door's open. So about, 30 seconds of sitting there, then he started to test it. He pokes out, he takes a foot, he starts to do one of these, and then he steps out like this. The e-collar pressure turns on. I'll tell you why this is important. He stands there, and he takes it. I think I looked down, I was at a 26. And he was taking, I could see his neck feeling it, he feels it. And I dial up a little bit, and as I dial up, he goes right back into the kennel and it turns off, and then he just stands there. Now he was sitting, but when I came in to do the video, he stood up, it didn't come out. Why is that important? Because when I told him not to come out, I set a rule. He now believes that rule can still hold him accountable even when I'm not home, even when I'm not in the room. That's what was beautiful. He knew I wasn't there. He listened for me. They look for you. They see you're not there. They step out. They say, oh my God, the consequence still happens. It doesn't matter if he's in the room or not. Now that's huge. But what makes it work so well is that he was able to try it. What makes it work really well is that I set it up because I knew he needed that belief in order for things to start going smoothly. So he's not always testing boundaries when I leave the room. We'll be doing that again with place. If we have trouble in this command with him, the count, we'll do this some more. But that's just an example of how we give the dog experiences to change their belief system. He believes now, because it happened, that if he steps out without me saying, even when I'm out of the room, that the sensation will turn on the collar. Okay? So once he believes that, as long as I hold him accountable when he steps off by correcting him, we got a dog who doesn't think it's an option even with the door open, so therefore he's not stressed. Now, if we rewind the clock, go back 10 minutes ago before I did this, and I told him to stay, but I just sat right here, you would see him stressing, worried, because he's wondering, he's like, well, I want to get out. I can't do it while he's there, but I know I can get out because there's nothing stopping me. So what do? I leave the room. I let him get out so that he can see getting out is not what he wants to do. He's like, okay, so that's not. I tried, been there, done that. That didn't work out so well. Now the stress is gone because there's not a million options in his head, right? Get out of here. I'm gonna go to that door. I'm gonna go over here. Okay. When he's hanging out like this in his brain, I say, good boy. So I'm constantly saying, I like that state. I like that state. Me, when you're around me, that state's gonna do good, which is just kind of calm and just ignoring everything and just being passive. Okay, that's a skill. That's gonna get him through the big portion of day one. What's next? He's going to get a mini put on. He's gonna be monitored on a camera because he does tend to lick paws and who knows what else, who knows if he's gonna scratch at the bars or trying to get out or something. We're gonna have a camera on him and then what he's gonna do for the rest of the day are potty breaks. So he's gonna learn how to be in the kennel without being fussy. He's also gonna learn how to get out of the kennel, go to the yard, go out the door, go potty, and come back in using some of the commands, especially the recall that we started, okay, and the stay. All right? So keep an eye out on the next videos to see what the process looks like.